Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
Great. So far, so good. So we're back.
We are. Great.
So thanks again for our first section of this episode. We're going to talk not about brain cancer and just sort of about like life and fatherhood. So yeah, I guess one of the things that I think is most interesting about you is that you have 3 children and they're all female. So you've lived in a house of only women minus the dog for pretty much our entire lives. I guess you don't have another life to compare it to, but what would you say have been like the highlights and potential challenges of that situation?
Well, the highlights are you guys. I mean, they're just you're all such interesting and fun and caring people. I never ever imagined that that's what children would be like because I based it on my own experience. But when I didn't care and I was rude, and obnoxious.
So you're saying none of us were ever rude ever?
Or obnoxious.
Oh, I think that's a complete misinterpretation.
Oh, shit.
My God.
How was being a father to 3 girls?
Amazing. I mean, it's just, which is just a cop out to say amazing and then move on. So I won't. But I just learned so much from you guys. It was such a different experience when you're a guy and you're growing up. You expect that all your kids will be guys because I don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so much fun. You guys are always active in something, a sport, which I obviously can relate to. It wasn't like, oh, girly girls. It was just you were girls. You just did what you did. I just probably had an expectation that we would have boys, and we didn't. And it's better than I could have imagined.
But like by the time I rolled around, you was another girl. Were you like, oh shit, or were you like, oh whatever at this point?
Nope, not at all. I was excited.
You had already like given up the dream.
No, I don't want the dream. I mean, the dream was having good, healthy, fun kids, and I got that. So I mean, truly, without being too sappy. Too late, but but I think it's great. I can't imagine having boys now, but it doesn't. I guess the lesson was it doesn't matter if you have kids; they're kids, and if you have a good relationship with them, then it's remarkable. And that I felt fortunate to have, and still do, and it doesn't cross my mind ever. I mean, it did at the beginning because it was like, now what do I do?
You figured it out,
You did.
Seemingly, yes.
Thinking about where all of us are in our lives right now, so I guess all in the 20s, but like early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s. What do you think, and it can vary from kid to kid and age to age, would be like your biggest piece of advice for this time of our life?
Oh my gosh, compound interest for sure.
What do you mean by that?
Invest and let your money grow. That's one thing, but that's not. Yeah,
not like find love.
Yeah, I was hoping for something I actually understood to be the answer, but like sure. Like I thought compound interest was a metaphor for a second, but okay.
Nope.
Shoot.
Straight up. Warren Buffett approach to life. But I mean, the advice we've given, right? Your mother and I have given you so much advice over your lives that I think you have it. And now it's just a matter of reminding you, remember how privileged and fortunate you are, and don't forget about other people. That for sure. Find love and have fun, relax, enjoy yourselves. Life is not supposed to be this arduous. I go to work, I take the weekends off, and then I go to. Life has changed. I mean, that's the 50s, and I wasn't alive then. And I think that it's important that people find the right balance, which is not, I'm saying work-life balance, but the right balance for you. I like working. And, your mom and I used to have these discussions. We'd be on vacation. She'd say, well, don't check your phone. Don't check your email. I'm much more comforted by knowing what's there, not what's waiting for me. And then I'm good.
Staying ahead of it too.
But that's like, instead of following a path that says we're on vacation, I will therefore turn off my phone and my computer. I don't work that way. But so work the way you work and operate the way you operate. Everyone's different. Everyone does stuff a little differently. Mostly you find that things end up, intersecting and crossing over and make sense.
One of the things that we watched you do growing up was knowing that you liked working and loved what you did enough to start your own thing and run it yourself. But you also like coached all of our sports teams. I don't remember you ever missing a dinner I know
Yeah.
you traveled when we were younger, but that's not like how I remember growing up or our relationship. Like, I knew when I got home from school, you would be there or you'd be there soon after. And I never felt like you weren't around. Like, you were always very around, very present. We went on these vacations, but I don't remember you being on your phone. I just remember having a great time and you being there. And I think you were able to turn off, but not in like a binary way where it was like you're working or you're not working. Like, I think you just flowed everything together nicely and it didn't deteriorate or it didn't take away from the time together. So like, I don't even like, I remember mom telling us that you would travel a lot when we were really young. And I was like, really? I'd never ever remember you taking a trip. Like,
That's interesting.
Because I'm sure that's not even the right memory, but in my mind, like, you were always home.
Like every sports game, everything.
Yeah, and that's sort of part of why I started my own thing, because I wanted to have that control. I mean, mom and I both grew up as sort of like latchkey kids, where meaning, you let yourself in the house, your parents showed up, and but that was the era. That's what it was. But for me, I was traveling a lot when Haley was born. So when you guys were all younger, and I was like, I don't know that I don't want to be, that I want to be doing this. I want to be making my own decisions. And that was part of the motivation. And I encouraged everyone who worked with me to go coach your kids, do whatever, be part of their lives. And because it's important to have a fulfilling life, not just to execute work.
Yeah.
Executing work is part of a fulfilling life for me, but.
Right. But I think having those things go hand in hand and not be separate was such a just productive thing and a great way of living and working that we got to observe and then apply or look to apply in our own lives.
Yeah, and choose to do or not do. But by the way, when we were on vacation, all those times that I said I had to go to the bathroom, I was checking email. I mean, that was
from the bathroom.
I don't think I ever kept track of you going to the bathroom on vacation.
Yeah, I don't think we ever
were more worried about our tans.
Dad peed a lot in Hawaii.
I appreciate
not really on our minds. What do you, just in terms of you growing up, and obviously, as you said, different eras. But what do you think you took from your parents versus what did you decide to change in terms of parenting and way of, I don't know, growing into that chapter of your life?
That's a great question. I mean, my father ran a big business, and I watched him evolve to do that. His going up the chain and starting with nothing and then evolving all the way to being CEO. That was fascinating. He loved his work. I mean, that was so important to him, and it meant so much to him to be focused on work, and that was what he did. So part of what I took away was, I appreciate that. I'm not going to do it that way. And one of the most touching conversations I ever had with him was on a plane. I think we were flying somewhere. Well, that would make sense if you're on a plane. We were going to spring training one year for the Mets, and I said to him, I don't know what prompted it, but I said, I'm never going to be as successful as you. And he looked at me, he goes, you've already been more successful than me. And I said, what do you mean? He said, the way you raise your family, your relationships, it's a different game. And I was like, oh, Dad. It was very touching.
Really sweet.
And really sweet. And we always had a good relationship. We had a great relationship as adults, he and I. But probably because he forgot that when I was younger and ran his bags over, taking him to the airport once. And, I was 16, so I guess I wasn't a baby. That was just a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think I know that. I know a lot of the mistakes, but not that specific one.
Oh, I put the bags behind the car and then, drove them to the airport. I literally tore the bags apart, pulling over them in the driveway.
It's great.
Yeah.
So brutal.
That was pretty stupid. Yeah. It wasn't like it was midnight either. It was the morning, so.
Oh, great.
Nothing.
At the end of the day, you were giving him a ride to the airport.
Yeah, it was well-intentioned.
Poor execution.
And then he had nothing to carry, so it was perfect.
Right. Easier. You saved him $40 checking a bag, so.
Yeah. There's that. What did I learn? So, and my mom, taught kindergarten, would hustle, home, take care of whatever had to be taken care of with us. And, it's like there's a purpose to doing what you do. If you're not getting fulfillment out of what you're doing, meaning in a job, then you're missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not enabling a life to have with your family because of your job, then you're missing the point. That's what I took away. That's not necessarily how my parents executed it, but that's how I chose to execute it after seeing what I saw and learning what I learned. That all makes sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah,
I think just the definition of success based on what you want out of your life and what fulfills you and what propels you forward is super important. And I think to go back to the differences in eras, I don't know. And again, like I think we have a uniquely close and open and just like friend based relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think that was a lot more rare back in the day. Like I know you oftentimes say stuff like, well, I can't imagine ever calling my parents a bitch when we're like joking around, but it's sort of
not when they were in the same room. I mean, that's you guys handle it quite differently.
No, but I mean we
different.
Yeah, we operate casually. I don't think we are filtered around each other, which is also a product of the way that you taught us to have our own opinions and say what we want to say, obviously respectfully, but
not always.
I would say 9 times out of 10 respectfully.
Well, that's your mother's influence, which is great.
And
it's a good balance.
Yeah, no, you guys are quite yin and yang. Do you want to talk about mom?
She's not behind me, is she?
No, I think she's out of the house, so you might be all good.
Sure, yeah, but then someone will see this, right?
Yeah,
that's the goal.
Mom will see this.
I'm kidding. Yes, what would you like to talk about mom?
Like, how would you describe her?
You've seen what she looks like, right? She looks a little like you.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment. I mean, just like...
No, she's...
What do you think about when you think about mom?
It's just the love of my life. But I don't want... It's very hard to answer those questions without it being like textbook pablum, just sounding like anyone who's, reading a script. I'm not reading a script. She is absolutely the love of my life. She taught me so much along the way, and I tell her that, and she's like, oh, whatever. Like not, which is so mom, which is awesome. But I mean, before I met her, I don't remember saying I love you to anyone, either a girlfriend or even my own family. We never talked that way, and she's always very expressive. Excuse me. I'm not being choked up. I just burped. She just taught me so much about how to be expressive about how you feel and not be uncomfortable with that. And I think that set us up perfectly to have girls as children. I don't know what would have been different, but I think that it was such a better experience for me to have you guys because I learned something every day. That's kind of a great lesson that I would tell you when you're in your 20s, and I think I told you all your life. God almighty, learn something every day if you can. Mm-hmm. Make mistakes every day, hopefully not big ones, and certainly don't hurt someone or yourselves. But that's how you learn. Mm-hmm. And when you learn, you're fulfilled, and that's how I'm fulfilled every day. Most days, anyway. Some days you make mistakes and just, it's a bummer. But in general, it's phenomenal to have raised girls. But your mother taught me how to do that, if that makes sense. Totally. That doesn't describe her, but that's a part of it.
But I love what you're saying about her teaching you a lot about like emotion, because I don't know what you would think, Emma, but like I feel like I'm very emotionally in touch and emotional because of how you raised us. Like I always say like I love you to my roommates, and it's funny you referenced the I love you thing because I think you probably say like good night, I love you to me every night.
I remember when you said that before you met mom, you had not you didn't say I love you to your parents, or that wasn't like part of your.
It wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah, which was so shocking to me because when I think of you, I think of that. So just to even know that didn't exist in your life like 35 years ago. How long have you guys been married?
Oh, no, this is on tape. 1991. So it's been, you do the math.
I think it's interesting to think about being married for that long and like all the different eras, back to eras that you guys have had, like dating, falling in love, engaged, getting married, the honeymoon phase, all that stuff, then like having 3 babies, all of them leaving the nest, moving, like obviously those are such different milestones and you've done so much, but like, is there any era that you look back on as like the most fond or craziest or hardest or something like that?
They've all been great, which not to, again, be pablum, but I think obviously the beginning, it's hard, but that's the fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like the challenges of I don't know what to do here. You go to birthing class.
Lamaze.
Did you go with her?
Not that I needed a lot of help. I just stood there. But no, we went to birthing class. Yeah, for sure. Certainly with Emma. And because it was new. We didn't know what to do. But then you get a baby and you bring a baby home. It's like, what the fuck do we do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sort of so nobody teaches you that part. You instinctively work together and figure it out. That's the most rewarding is parenting a kid from babyhood to, look at you guys now and seeing you're all different. You're all successful. You're all unique in so many different ways, crazy, not crazy, whatever it is. No fingers being pointed.
Eyes are being met though.
That there's always challenges and it's always fascinating. But to me, the beginning when, we bought a house, where Mom and I are like stripping wallpaper, we're repainting things, we're grouting stuff, we're trying to do all the work. Then you have pregnancy and babies and, every experience was new. And what I guess I was trying to say is have experiences, have new experiences. It's the most fascinating thing when you don't know what you're doing and you figure it out.
Scary.
In work, in life, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying get in a car if you haven't learned how to drive and go drive down the highway. I'm saying it's just that working together makes your relationship deeper and it makes the relationship with the other object, meaning in this case, babies or a house being reconstructed or whatever. It makes it all fun and interesting. We used to go to Home Depot on Saturday night. That was date night. That was awesome.
It smells great in there, so I understand.
It's a fabulous store.
Not knowing what you're doing is really the most rewarding thing because we figured it out within reason.
No, I would say you did a pretty good job. Within reason.
I don't know, you guys met when you were my age. And like, I'm thinking about how old, like how I feel now. And I'm like, that's crazy to think about versus like, I don't know. I just think it puts things in perspective. You were so young.
We were, with our peers and, some had babies earlier, some had babies later. It was sort of not a measurement tool, but it's interesting to me that is the demarcation line in my life. You get married, obviously big deal. But once you start having babies, you're responsible to other things, not yourselves.
Changes.
And it changes. And it's critical because it's more fulfilling. I don't care about doing stuff for me. Good news, given the situation. But I care about, but I said that to you guys once we had this diagnosis. It's like, I'm fulfilled. I only want to be with you guys and your mom. And that's the time I don't want taken away. But the time that we've had together has been unbelievable. It's not without arguments. It's not without, annoyances or knowing that you snuck out of the house or whatever it is. But not you, Haley. But
never did.
It's the reward of that is I can't even articulate it. That is the best part.
That's very sweet.
Well, it's true.
Most angry you've been at all 3 of us?
No, I don't want to do that.
Added up or individually?
Individually. Well, or just us two, maybe.
Or just who were you the angriest at ever? Because we know that's neither of us.
Yeah, that's a tough equation. I mean, I was probably angriest at Lucy with driving. So
really?
I don't know.
All 3 of us lost our license, which is pretty impressive, honestly.
I wasn't mad about people losing their license. I was mad when we were teaching you guys to drive.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Well, when you were teaching me to drive, you backed into a pole, so... You're like, be really careful and always check your mirrors so much. And
then, then I trashed the car. Yeah,
so I only had up to go from there.
Yeah, that's true. I was trying to help you out.
It was good. Yeah, you were setting the low bar. It was great. I've based my entire driving career off of that moment. So thank you.
But I forgot about that. It was so funny. I get in the car. I articulate to you. Now here's how you're going to learn how to back up. You check all your mirrors. You have watched when you pulled into the space and blah, blah. And I back up into a pole.
Yeah, did it break the headlight?
Oh, yeah.
Broke the
shattered.
Rear
that's what I meant.
The tail light. Yeah,
Tail light.
it was
Tail light.
awesome.
That's so funny.
I was like, okay, so just like that. Just
we
to be clear.
were falling down.
It was
laughing.
so funny.
Was it like in a parking lot too?
It was in the parking lot of the middle school.
Yes.
Yeah, middle school.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Like right in the
first
front.
riding.
You're like,
Oh
you
my
have
God.
to be so careful. I was like, okay, sounds good.
Make sure
like
you check,
first
and then you
water
back
driving.
up. You look this way, that way, and boom.
So good. It was like out of a sitcom.
It's
If the light had broken and fallen onto the roof or something, it would have been a little better. But that's it.
Nah,
It's
it
so
was
funny
pretty
because
good.
like you are an objectively a very good driver.
Oh yeah.
So like the fact that happened is just so out of the ordinary and even funnier.
Yeah.
You are a good driver.
I wasn't always, but yeah, you learn.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You make mistakes. That
Hopefully that don't hurt you or
small
other
mistakes.
people. But
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
the taillight was fine.
Taillight was fine.
No harm, no foul.
Easily replaced. Oh my gosh.
The most mad that I remember you being is when it was not ever at us, or not at least that I recall, but it was when you thought we were in danger. Like when that guy was tailgating you. And I remember this like it was yesterday. We were all in the car and the guy was on your tail and you pulled, like, I remember the sound of the car like pulling over, and you got out of the car. And I was sitting in the front seats, but I must have like just been able to do that. So
We
I
were
must have been
young.
like 12 or something. But it was like really cool that I was doing that. But you got out of the car, slammed the door, and I heard you just rip this guy apart. Like I had never heard anybody talk like that in my life. Like you just absolutely, you were like, I mean, I won't repeat what even you said,
can't.
but you were just screaming at him like, how are you doing this? I have kids in the car. Like, I'm pretty sure you used the effing idiot stuff, and all the good stuff. But you got back in the car and it was like nothing happened. You're like, all right, guys, like everyone good? And I remember looking at you and pointing up and being like, sunroof was open. We heard every word. But it just like,
That I remember.
and I remember being scared to hear you upset, but it was in our defense. Like that's when I think of you being mad, like I think of moments like that.
Mhm.
I really, it was so rarely directed at us because we were perfect. So.
Perfect.
No, but that's a fair point. I was furious at the tailgating guy for sure. And anytime you guys are in danger, and that's when I would get mad at you if you put yourselves in
Right.
Yeah, I remember actually, because I don't ever remember like fights with you. I feel like we would just bicker a lot, but we would like, I'd start yelling at you more and I'd get angry and then you just start laughing.
Because it was so funny.
I'd like be like stomping and be like, Dad, and you just would be like, and then I couldn't hold it together, and I got so mad. You were laughing, and you'd be like, I couldn't take it seriously, and it just like all the tension that I might have had towards you just like dissipated because you were just like cracking up at me, and it's honestly a great tactic.
It was really good.
I want to use
Diffusion.
it
I think we arrived at it just by happenstance. I don't think
because
it was
I'm
part of the
hilarious when I'm
plan.
trying to be serious. Yes,
It was unbelievably hilarious.
I forgot about that.
Oh, that was good.
Like
Well-
that's what I think. I don't think of anything specific.
Yeah, me either. I think being mad at any of you was for your benefit or protection. You're right, to your point.
It's fair.
But obviously parenting is an imperfect science or art, either way.
Yeah.
And I mean, your mother and I had more discussions about. I wish, meaning me, I hadn't raised my voice at this situation, that situation, or whatever. And she would always say, "Yeah."
Well, she's also always right, so it's
Yeah.
tough.
I know.
That's hard. There's a line, I forget the movie, it might have been called Network News, but it was like someone says, you have no idea what it's like to be right all the time. And I use that all the
Yeah,
time.
when I hear that line, I think of you. So you've adopted that for sure.
It's an older movie. Yeah, you have no idea what it's like. It's a burden.
Wait,
It
you
really
don't
is.
think that I'm pretty sure I do know what that's like.
Yeah, I think
Or at least I tell my husband that I know what it's like. So
it sort of passes down the line. It keeps going, doesn't it?
oh,
It does.
yeah, it does. We'll live that legacy for a long time.
I'm sure.
Far too funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to cut it short, but I also know this will be the first of many
Yeah.
subsequent conversations, which is exciting. I think like when we started this whole thing at its worst, it's helpful for other people and perhaps even entertaining.
And hopefully helpful for you guys and all
Well,
of us.
exactly. At its
You beat her to it.
I'm sorry, at its best, it's helpful for other people and entertaining. At its worst, I love just sitting and chatting, and we get to do it all the time, but to be able to memorialize it on video, it is special. And just thanks for being open to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
We didn't give you a huge option, but like,
No,
thanks
but
for being into it.
I didn't need an option. You know, I mean, I'm happy to do anything for you guys or with you guys. And yeah, now that we're in this really crappy situation where you don't know what, where, and when, but you know, you're fighting the fight for time. It's great to memorialize things like this. You know, whether this all gets chucked out or posted on someone's TikTok.
TikTok. I was waiting for that to happen.
You know, those are things. At least you have options, and you have stuff, and you can look at it, or you can show your kids, or you can, you know, like I said, dump it. It's nice to have all those options.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Best guest ever.
Best guest ever.
Oh, great.
You're actually our first
You're
guest.
our first
Yeah, I was going to
guest.
say, otherwise you're in serious trouble.
No, you were great, eloquent, and lovely as always.
That's what my business card said. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Love you. Well, we'll talk some more.
Should I get in on this? Oh, pleasure, as always.
Always. My
Love you.
pleasure.